We've got a lot of Total War to do in the future. But before we get started, we're going to do a poll. Which High Elf Legendary Lord should we play? To make things a little more interesting, and not just a typical run around the world, which I could do, but I'm not going to, because I'd rather let y'all have a bit of a choice in it. I'm going to let y'all vote on which character we play for these streams. Occasionally I will veto, because I'm only allowed so many options. So I will not include options for characters that I'm just like, nah, I don't want to play them. So like for today, for instance, I'm going to leave Techless off the list because I only have 5 slots. And he's the least interesting in my opinion. I will give y'all... We'll give y'all... what? 2 minutes? Alright, the poll is up. Poll is up. You have 2 minutes. I'm going to vote as well. Who do I want to vote for? I'm going to vote for you.
Another wretched, foul lizard thing joins the red host. Cursed Sotek spawn.
Hope you're all doing well today.
7 months, let's go. Okay, as is tradition, time to ask a weird question. You have been sent to the fantasy universe, congrats. You are also being drafted into your new local state troops, congrats. What province are you in and what kind of state troop are you?
That's a great question. You can get used to it, or you get used to it. I think, if I had the ability to choose, I think I would want to live in Averland. Averland, I think, is far and above the safest province, where the least amount of crazy crap happens. Crazy crap does happen there, but I think it's one of the least threatened. And I would probably want to be, if I could be a greatsword, I feel like being a greatsword would... Oh wait, you said a state troop. State troop. I'd probably go for a handgunner. That way I could be as far away from the fighting line as possible. I feel like that would be my best chance of survival. I think if I was any closer, it would be a bad time. I don't think it would end well for me. Ooh. Oh wow, this is a super close one. It's if y'all haven't voted yet, you better vote. It's super close. Oh my god, who's gonna win? Oh, Emmerich sniped it right at the end there. Wow, I thought for sure Alariel was gonna win. Like, I stopped watching it because I thought it was gonna be Alariel. Dang! Hype Train is close. Well, good for that. Alex Love, Living Legend, and D-Boy Abomination Witalica. Thanks so much for those redeems. Hola to you all, and welcome to the stream, buddies. Alright, so we're playing Emmerich. So we are doing Mortal Empires for all of these campaigns. And our goal is basically just to play one Legendary Lord in every single race. And have a good time with it. So, without further ado, I think we're just going to do hard, and leave it on Legendary Chaos Invasions, because you want your Chaos Invasions to be big. And let's hop into it. I hope I like Skaven. did he just throw a bunch of bits at the... How many how many bits did you throw at the pole? I was wondering how I was very suspicious of that sudden that sudden increase for Emmerich. I was like, wow, look at all these people voting at the last possible minute. Very suspicious. I do like Skaven. I like everything. I also like killing Skaven. Hi, thanks for the support, man. I appreciate that. Wow, look at all those biddies. Holy shit.
Diffs cheered. X 1200.
Wow, that was very generous. Thank you for the 1200 biddies, dude. I will make sure those are hurled down the snake bit. You know, that's what I kind of want to do for... You know how, like, a lot of streamers have, like, things that the bits do? Shut up, Visor. Stupid Singe cultist. I kind of want to try... Like, so, I've gotten... I feel really good about the idea of getting some kind of thing somewhere around here when we're hanging out, where there will be, like, a skink holding... Like, well... Hopefully we can get away with the skink. If we can't get away with the skink, we'll do something lizardy. But, like, a skink holding a plaque where chat appears on it while we're just hanging out and talking. But, like, for bits, I don't know how we would do it, but, like, I think a fun way to do bits would be, like, showing them getting hurled into a snake pit or something. I don't know, I'd have to think of a clever way to do that. I'm trying to think of, like, cool things to put on a list of what I would like to do when the day hopefully comes that I can invest some good money into the stream. Alright, and here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Not only am I... Oh, have a Cloyodon head? Eat it? Oh, I wonder if we could do that. I don't know how complex we can get away with. I wonder if we could have it where, like, maybe they pile up and, like, a Troglodon just comes out and eats them. That would be pretty awesome, actually. Yeah, Living Legend, that's a great idea. I'm actually gonna write that down. I'm gonna add that. Oh, wait, I don't have mine. Oh, whatever. I'll write it down later. I think that could be fun. So here's the thing, guys. Not only are we going to play through a campaign on every character, but the character that you pick, I am going to do my damnedest to basically accomplish what I think would be really important lore goals for that character, as well as trying to run all of our armies with lore themes. So we're going to be trying really hard to have kind of fun discussions about the character that ends up being selected. So Emmerich in this case. And hopefully it should be a lot of fun. So, like, with Emmerich, we're gonna try and go for a really, really elite army. With obviously lots of dragons and other nonsense. Bishop of Cheddar.
I'm looking forward to the Lorebeards.
Ah, yeah, dude, I'm very excited for Lorebeards. Don't forget about that, by the way, guys, that tomorrow at noon Central Standard Time. So, tomorrow at noon Central Standard Time, or 12 p.m., I will be live right here with Nathan from Great Book of Grudges, and we're going to be doing our premiere episode of our new podcast thing. I guess it's podcast, which is called Lorebeards. I don't have any official art or anything for it yet, but it is something that we've talked quite a bit about, and I feel really good about it. I already have tomorrow's episode, like all the topics and everything blocked out, so it should be a really good time. And we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff, a lot of really interesting stuff. I think it's going to be a really special experience. Am I going to get the legendary lore mod? We'll try that out some point. I'd also like, I think we are also going to be trying out mods. So, like, I'm not going to necessarily do, for this around the world thing, I'm not necessarily going to do every single episode. Well, no, I'll just say it. I'm not doing every episode back to back to back to back to back. It'll kind of be it'll kind of be something that, like, we try and do every evening. But sometimes there will be things that take priority. And like, so like something I'd like to do that would take priority on specific days is mod showcases. So like to really start diving deep on mods now that Warhammer 2 is kind of wrapping up. And really playing around with the game to try and find all the things that people really enjoy about mods, all the different mods, and trying to understand what everybody likes so much about like a particular mod or something. These Dawi have no right to these lands. These lands belong to the dragons. And the dwarves need to be taught their place. These disgusting little skulking mud dwellers think themselves equal to ancient beasts? Nah. I'm getting the book for that. Yeah, the biggest thing is that on Mondays we're gonna start playing. We are absolutely gonna start playing Warhammer Online again on Mondays, because apparently those are dungeon night for my guild, which we might not always be able to get dungeon runs in, but it at least is an excuse to finally get back to playing. Yeah, there should be a lot of exciting stuff going on soon. What do I say? Averland is the safest province. Aren't Sylvania and Blackfire Pass literally next door? Well, so yeah, they are. Averland. Well, Averland is like Averland's geographically close to Sylvania, but Averland is not nearly as involved in Sylvanian problems as like Stirland is. Stirland has way bigger issues, constantly having to deal with Sylvanian shenanigans than anyone else. But you have to remember that like the vampires are not really super painfully obvious. Like, even during the last edition of Warhammer Fantasy, a lot of people didn't believe that Manfred was alive. Manfred von Karstein was very, very, very stealthy. And he forced a lot of his vampiric brethren to be stealthy, whether they liked it or not. The whole thing there is that Averland doesn't have nearly as many undead problems as you would expect. And the other thing, as far as Blackfire Pass goes, I mean, no matter what province you're going to pick, you're going to have problems. But Blackfire Pass is a notable invasion route, but it's not used all that often. Simply because it is a place that, wow, they got absolutely annihilated by that. It's just a place that does not, it takes a substantial force to get through Blackfire Pass. The Empire has a series of forts that line along the edges that help guard it. Whether or not they have the resources to properly guard it depends on a lot of factors at any given time. When they're a lot of the time it's under the control of the Empire, and when it's not under the control of the Empire, it's usually because someone else is like choked up in it. So like a ton of beastmen generally are hanging in around Blackfire Pass. Like they're in it. So, like, getting through Blackfire Pass is really hard. It has to be a huge force to really force its way through Blackfire Pass. What about having Emmerich declare war on Tyrion and kill him with the Starlance? Because I'm kind of looking at this from a lore angle, I'm not going to be looking to declare war on any of the other High Elves unless they explicitly do something to piss me off. In which case, it's fair game. But, so far, I do not... That is something that will only occur as a reaction. Alright, so we got the Grave of Dragons, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and upgrade Darkhold to max level so that we can get the situation super settled. And let's pick up the Dragon Horn and Route Marcher. We definitely are going to want to go a much more warrior-focused build because we are playing with Emmerich. But we will want him to have specializations for dragons and dragon princes. We also definitely want to get a noble in this army. Because if Emmerich's going to be using an army, we're going to be using an army in style. Let's start with faster reload for our archers. Hey, Hollow, what's up, dude? And our first priority is going to be purging the dwarfs from these mountains. Because if there's one thing Emmerich does not have tolerance for, it is the greedy, stunted folk who have long had a rivalry with his, or have long had hostile relations with his beloved drakes. Alright, so let's pick up some archers and a unit of rangers. We actually have artwork, so I can actually see them and tell them apart from other units now. Just wait for the Eschentide. Well, we're going to do our best to crush the Eschentide as soon as we become aware of it. Lore fact. Here becomes something I will be doing forever. For every race you play.
Joins the red host. Cursed Sotek spawn.
The dragon
Afternoon hype squawk.
Hype squawk. Oneg, thanks so much for continuing the tier 1 sub for 8 months, my dude. Also, Bishop of Cheddar, thanks for 7 months. And you get used to it, thanks for tier 2 for 7 months. And Mornington Crescent, thank you for 5 months. Thanks for all of the, thank you very, very much for all of the renewal of subs. Hey, Master of Warhammer, you can wait. Thanking subs is always top priority around here. You can wait your turn. But, thank you guys very, very much for the support. I really appreciate it. Now, getting onto your question. What was it? What do the High Elves think of the Lizardmen? Okay, so the High Elves are keenly aware of the fact that the old one, or the Lizardmen are one of, if not the eldest race in the world. Like they know better than anyone, really, except for maybe, well, except for like the Demons of Chaos, that the Lizardmen are kind of the primordial ancient masters of a lot of the world, but in particular that they're kind of the children of the old ones. However, the big thing for them is that the High Elves don't really understand the nature of what the Lizardmen are now. There is kind of a lot of debate in Elven culture about whether the whether or not the Lizardmen are still a like major force in the world. Most of the elves believe, and like many of their lore masters believe and agree that the Lizardmen are they're basically a dead race. They are a race that used to be extremely powerful, and gifted with incredible might, and they were custodians of the planet at one point, but no longer. You know, they have fallen into their twilight era, and they're more like wild beasts that are kind of masquerading as a significant power in the world, which I would say is incorrect, but the High Elves have, you know, they've had very limited interaction with the Lizardmen, because the Lizardmen don't allow the High Elves to interact with them. The very first time the Lizardmen and the High Elves interacted after the Cataclysm ended, so after the demons were defeated, and Chaos was kind of, you know, banished to the edges of the world and all that. Blow the dragon horn! Okay, send in the Rangers to fight the Slayers. That should actually be a pretty good matchup for them. Get a good Dragon Breath over here. Fire a Fireball over here. Good job. Let's focus these guys. There we go. Let's run over this way. Why don't you drop down on them? Those are just warriors, right? Yeah. Ugh, God, get those Slayers away from me. We cannot have gifted young princes being wounded by naked little creatures. But, that's kind of the general thing, is that the elves do not really understand what the Lizardmen are now. They think they do. But they just kind of view them as like a ancient relic that is no longer relevant on the global stage. Which is, you know, that opinion is reinforced by the way the Lizardmen behave, where the Lizardmen for a really, really long time were kind of under attack by many forces, and the response from the Lizardmen was to basically try and like wait and see. So, like, the Slann were sitting around contemplating for thousands of years on what to do in between being attacked by various forces, and it took until fairly recently for the High Elves to come to for the Slann to come to a decision and start waking up. Now, we find out that this is mainly due to the case that the Slann were all essentially cursed by chaos, which caused them to suffer from a much more severe lethargy than is natural for them. And they've only recently started breaking out of it. The Sun Dragon should be named Grudge Burner. Fair enough. I'm gonna name him Beard Burner. Is that alright? Grudge Burner is a little too dwarfy, I think. But Beard Burner. Or maybe Singer of Beards. Burner of Beards? I think Singer of Beards is fun. Is that an acceptable compromise? Okay, cool. Alright, so this is the end of this province, so... But the lands that I'm actually wanting, we're just going to capture and occupy them. Okay, we got Beard Weaver. Perfect. We got the Shield of Ptolos. Alright, so let's go ahead and focus on getting our lad as strong as possible. Let's get scouting, so we have a good chance to find magic items. For this, we want to do Rebuild Lost Splendor. And... I don't want to upgrade this building. But I actually... Okay, no, we have enough money to do that. Yes. We're not going to do this just yet, because I do want to focus on recruiting more soldiers. Still afford it, but we want to save money for our Dragon Graveyard. Can elves grow beards? I forgot to name the unit. I will make sure not to click that off until I name that. Can elves grow beards? No. I've never seen or heard of an elf with facial hair in Warhammer Fantasy. So I don't believe they can.
Trinkets.
Yes, the trinkets. That's Singer. Singer of beards. How do you spell... Well, this is Singe, right? So I guess Singer won't work because it's gonna come out Singer. So let's go with what's a good... Ah, yes. Good enough.
Wakes.
Alright, so these guys, I think, only have this one settlement left.
I am a rune lord, not some smith.
Let's move far enough that we can... Whoa! Thanks for that. Let's see. Casualty replenishment. Do we need that right now? Nope. What did I do? Why would you click it if you don't know what it does?
The people are
You started a wall, but it's okay. It's over now. Yeah, let's keep saving money. I'm gonna turn Mount Greyhag into my penny bank. Piggy bank. Piggy bank. Okay, I already answered that. After Kugoth was banished by Lewin in the Battle of Altdorf, did he technically survive? I mean, technically he probably did, according to, like, the way demons operate, but seeing as he never returned, no, we're not accepting a filthy peace offering from disgusting dwarfs. Ugh.
Crown Prince.
No, I would say that, you know, you probably have a good case that Kugoth died after the incident against, Lewin Lanker, because he never did return. He perma-died after that. Alright, let's get the Purified Graves of the Dragons, which will allow us to get Dragon Princes really early, which is so broken. I seem to recall in the Malice Darkblade books, there were Druchii that have mustaches. I take everything from the Malice Darkblade series with a pretty serious grain of salt. Just because it's very old. You know, the Malice Darkblade series is from... Oh god, what edition was that? That was... I want to say that was 5th edition? I think the series finished sometime in 6th. But Malice Darkblade is from a much older time period in Warhammer lore. So, like, I take it with very extreme grains of salt for the way that I understand the lore and the storylines and everything. If you want to take that as gospel and apply that to how, like, you designed your elves or something like that, that's totally fair. That's not what I would personally do, but, you know, you gotta do you. Okay, so this is for Spearmen, Archer... Okay, yeah, let's get Trumpeters. Gotta have musicians. Always gotta have musicians. Alright, and we want Darkhold to have walls. Because we don't want any looters getting into our precious dragon graveyard. And now I'm gonna stomp these Dawi. Revan Amel, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. A funny young Loremaster lore fact. When you say young Loremaster, do you mean like a fact about me personally? I have plenty of those. Playing with some great Warhammer 2 mods at the moment. One gives vampire counts and human regiments. Is that lore friendly? It's happened. I mean, Vlad von Karstein was beyond famous for having very large amounts of Sylvanian peasant levies, essentially. Because, and he had a lot of human followers. Because Vlad's idea was that he wanted to rule over, all men, whether they were alive or not. And when he would show up to attack you, Vlad von Karstein would march out ahead of his army, and he would say, you can join me in life or serve me in death. That was Vlad's little speech he would give you. Or he would say that at the end of his speech. So, like, he would literally offer you that you can either join him willingly or you can serve him for eternity as an undead creature. It's your choice. Which he had some moderate success with that. There were people that surrendered to him. So yeah, I mean, it's totally plausible that there are vampires out there that would have mortal followers. Ooh, they've got toys. Wait, what are you shooting at? No! Archers! Get rid of those.
Prince Imric. Understood. Loyal. Prince
I want
Imric.
to stay. Galen Merrick, first of all, so happy to see you, dude. Thanks so much for coming to the stream. Really appreciate that. Lovely of you to redeem that little thing, and it's great to see you. Second of all, Stretch and Hydrate, thank you for both of those. Down the dragon horn! It still makes me a little salty that they have a unique animation for him sounding the dragon horn, but like none of the other characters that have famous horns do anything. Which, granted, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Orion. I really would like them to add in the animation of Orion sounding the horn of the Wild Hunt. I mean, it's a cool weapon. Let us use it! Where is Hammond? I need clarification if he wanted a, like, if he meant like an actual Loremaster lore fact or something else. Bleh. The Cinder of Beards. All you thirsty mofos, it's okay. Chat's eternally thirsty, I understand. I also need to stretch still. Oh. I bought a yoga mat the other day because I'm wanting to get back to... I need to get back to doing a lot of exercise. A fact about me. Ooh, so a funny lore fact about me when I was younger. There's a couple of interesting ones. What's one that's like easy to tell, like it's very digestible but still fun? Probably. Oh gosh. No, that one's not appropriate. I had a bizarre obsession with... Oh, now I remember one. When I was young, which to me now sounds disgusting, but when I was young, I apparently had a terrible obsession / addiction to, like, chocolate syrup, to the extent where I would steal it out of the fridge or the pantry, and I would... My parents had they had, like, this big closet that was sliding doors. So it was, like, 3 panels that could slide, right? So you could enter from the left side or the right side by sliding the panels. So what I would do is this is when I was like I have no memories of doing this, but I've seen footage of me doing it. And And you know, do y'all ever get that weird thing where like someone tells you a memory about you and you can like vaguely remember it, but you remember it in like the third person, so you know it's not one of your actual memories? I would go hide in the closet in the center and drink this syrup, and my parents would be looking for me, and what they would do is they'd be looking for me, and they'd figure out, oh, he's probably hiding in the closet, so they'd go in and they'd slide the closet open and look into the center area where I'd be hiding, and the moment I was discovered, I'd turn and see them, and I'd throw whatever I had that I wasn't supposed to have, and I would immediately pull open the other side and just take off running. Like, I was gone. I would just peace out. And, I don't think I ever did anything that, while hiding in there, that got me in genuine trouble. So, when I would take off, my parents just found it hilarious, and did a very poor job of pursuing me. So I think when I was younger, I became extremely convinced that it was just a guaranteed getaway free card. But I can't imagine like drinking syrup like straight out of the bottle. Ugh. Now it's like no, thank you. Don't really want this building yet. I don't need Silver and Guard or Shadow Warriors at this moment. Yeah, I can see the redeems over here on the sides. I have a slightly fancier setup now. So don't worry, I'm not missing your redeems. I do see them over here on the side. I'm just kind of like getting around to them as a moment comes up. Okay, let's go ahead and upgrade this. Let's see. So next is tell me everything about Krakenrock the Black. Everything. Good grief. So, what I will say is that Krakenrock the Black is he's the father of the Dragon Ogres, right? So, as far as we know, he is the oldest living specimen of the Dragon Ogre species. And he is the largest of their species, because everything, Dragon Ogres, like many creatures in Warhammer, get larger as they get older. And the larger they get, the more powerful they become. Well, Krakenrock has been around for tens of thousands of years, like multiple tens of thousands. And by the time the old ones even showed up on the planet, Krakenrock was already old. But as the father of their race, he was kind of the lead authority when it came to... I'll resolve this, and we're gonna burn the dwarves home to the ground. Clan Helheim will threaten us and the dragons no longer. Go ahead and activate the Invocation of Assurin.
It was never in doubt.
But Krakenrock, the biggest thing about him was his genuine size, in that Krakenrock is the size of a mountain. Not like a little mountain, a big mountain. Like Krakenrock is so immense that whenever someone encounters him, they do not realize it is Krakenrock usually until much later, because you'll be climbing his body thinking it's just a big titanic peak, just like the largest mountain in that area. And you can tell it's obvious he has been in battles in the past, because his body is basically covered in weapons that were used to try and kill him or harm him in ancient times, but failed utterly. What the big thing it boiled down to is that at some point as the war between the dragons and the Jadesti, thanks so much for continuing your tier 1 sub, really appreciate it, thank you. Brain fart. The big thing about Krakenrock is that he when his group started losing, So the Dragon Ogre started losing the war against the dragons because the old ones got involved. So, like, the old ones popped up into the world, started manipulating it. They found races they found desirable, other races they did not find desirable, and the old ones considered the Dragon Ogre race to not be desirable. So they decided to exterminate them. However, this extermination campaign ended up being heavily interrupted by the Great Cataclysm. So not only did the old ones themselves die off when they were killed during that big explosion, but more crucially, the Chaos Gods came into existence. And when the Dark Gods popped up into existence, the Dark Gods heard all these different cries from all these different races and creatures that were basically willing to offer themselves in exchange for power. And one of these races was the Dragon Ogres. So here comes Krakenrock with all of his kids, including Kolek Suneater at this time. And the Dark Gods end up essentially reaching out to them and saying, hey, we heard a little rumor that you're looking for power. And if power is what you seek, that's something we can arrange. All you have to do is give us your eternal souls. You know, you have to serve us for all of time, and we will grant you a wish, essentially. And so the Dragon Ogres under Krakenrock and Kolek, we know that Kolek played a significant part in the negotiations between the Dark Gods and the Dragon Ogres. But what they end up coming to is that Krakenrock and his children specifically wished for immortality. They wanted the ability to live forever, and to be incredibly difficult to kill, so that they could basically make their mark on the world and dominate it. And the Dark Gods, being the Dark Gods, which means they're being jerks, were more than happy to acquiesce this request, but it came at a price. The Dark Gods said, and Tzeentch is probably primarily responsible for this, though all the Dark Gods do have a very strong sense of, I guess you could say, irony when it comes to granting wishes and or requests. And so the Dark Gods said, okay, Krakenrock and friends, we will give you immortality, but in exchange, you're going to lose a different form of immortality. So they gave all the living Dragon Ogres at that time immortality. They will only grow mightier with age, and they will never die of old age. They can only be killed in battle, specifically. So they don't have to worry about disease, they don't have to worry about dying from hunger or thirst. They can only die by being slain. However, the form of immortality the Dark Gods took from them is that the Dark Gods made all of the Dragon Ogre species infertile. So the Dragon Ogres no longer have the ability to breed, and they could not have any offspring or children. That was the deal. Which the Dragon Ogres have very conflicted feelings about that many years later. But after the deal was struck, the Dragon Ogres, along with many of the Servants of Chaos, kind of went on a big old rampage. And helped, destroy a lot of things and tear up a lot of nonsense. And eventually, Krakenrock, after fighting a whole bunch, he just got tired. And probably a little bored. And so Krakenrock decided to slumber. And the thing about the Dragon Ogres is that when they sleep, they're very similar to the Slaawn, in that when they go to rest, they rest for longer and longer and longer and longer and longer periods of time. So they finally went out, and they were sleeping and resting constantly, and it got to the point where Krakenrock fell into a slumber so deep that he was no longer waking up. And basically a prophecy was given that stated if Kraken Rock will only awaken when the world is coming to an end. So when the death of the Warhammer world is at hand, when all things are coming to ruin, that is when Kraken Rock the Black will awaken once more and bring doom to this earth and everything around it. You know, kind of a bummer, but just kind of the way things go. Yeah, let's go ahead and use the Greater Invocation of Vol so I can make a powerful magic item and also advance Emmeric's quest. But that's basically the story of Kraken Rock. I don't recall him being associated with any magic items, because Kraken Rock was kind of the character that if he was awake and fighting, like, it doesn't really matter what he's doing or wielding, he's going to absolutely, like, smash your face in. Kraken Rock did awaken during the end times. We just didn't get to see it. In Age of Sigmar, they talk about how Kraken Rock did wake up. He was busy smashing things, and it was basically retconned in Age of Sigmar. So he wakes up, smashes a lot of stuff, the world explodes, but Kraken Rock can't be killed. None of the Dragon Ogres can. So the Dragon Ogre species cannot be killed except for in battle, due to their curse or blessing, however you want to look at it.
Was your day, Sotek? And how is Chloe?
And so the world explodes, and Kraken Rock and all of his kin get hurled out into space and just kind of floated around until they eventually crash landed in Age of Sigmar, where they are inhabiting the realm of heavens. Until Sigmar came along, and Sigmar had a really big battle against Kraken Rock the Black, and Kraken Rock lost, and the Dragon Ogres were cast out of the realm of heavens. However, Kraken Rock is still alive. Kraken Rock is still alive, and he is worshipped as a god by many of the Beastmen. We don't know where he is. He's somewhere, but we don't know where. And it's likely he will be making his appearance again soon. So do y'all think we should go with the Ruby Guardian Phoenix to just get, like, hysterical fire resistance? Or we should go with the Winged Staff to just get, like, free bounce spells on our wizard? Any thoughts? Hallelujah TV! Thanks so much for redeeming the Ola Skinks. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream, my dude. Winged Staff? Okay. Got it. Perfect weapon for a wizard.
Strategy beyond
Alright, doing good. We should be able to get a couple more Dragon Princes next turn. And go from there.
I should hurl you into the fires of Vol's anvil, wretch.
Oh yeah, we're going to war. Bulwark, thanks so much for the $5 tip, my dude. I really appreciate it. How was my day? My day was good. We celebrated my sister's 28th birthday today, which was a good time. A lot of good food and good fun.
Be ready for anything.
And then Chloe's doing okay. I would not say that she's doing great, but she's doing okay. She got a bath at the local groomers not too long ago. Let's do 6 Dragon Princes instead of 7 for the moment. Just because those have a lot of upkeep. And, pick up... From a financial perspective, let's just pick up a unit of Rangers. That way I'm not losing money. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe the people that gave her, like, because she got like a really hardcore bath, and I don't know if the people that bathed her, like, I don't know if maybe they were too rough on one of her paws, where she's kind of got this little thing that looks like a sore that I probably need to take her for the vet for, or I don't know what exactly happened, but she's had a pretty bad limp for the last few days, but today she was doing much better. Today she was not limping nearly as much. And then we got another lore fact question here. You get used to it. Theoretically, what would be the best ways to acquire a nice dwarf wife for a regular human in Warhammer Fantasy lore bonk? If you're asking that from a lore perspective, the answer would be there is no way in hell you'd get a dwarf wife. there is no way the Dwarven realms would allow that. I think they would rather shave their beards than allow a Wren to marry a human. Now, if you're asking, like, what if in a slightly modified universe, what would be the least amount of effort or least amount of shifting you'd need to do? So, like, in a world where that was plausible, how would you get a dwarf wife? And the answer to getting a dwarf wife, you know, if you want a short stack, which is, you know, that's viable. I have full respect for men who prefer short stacks. But, if you wanted a dwarf bride, then your best option would be you need to offer a massive dowry. Well, actually, normally the Wren offers a dowry in dwarf culture. So, I guess what you would need as a human... Man, that'd be tricky. You would need to convince her clan that marrying into a human family would be worth it from, like, a political perspective. Because usually, or no, in dwarf culture, the Wren, so the girl pays the dowry to the boy, which is, so that actually works against you. You would basically need to just be fabulously wealthy or immensely powerful. Just one or the other.
The Dragon Prince.
All right, let's fight a dragon. Warlock von Drac here thinks that he can stop us from finishing our Pokemon collection, and he's wrong. Our Pokedex is going to be complete. Karl Franz has a wife. She's not really ever talked about because I don't think they're on good terms anymore, but he does have a wife. And they were never divorced.
It shall be done.
But Karl Franz never seemed like the kind of guy who would marry for love. Karl Franz is pure business, which is a virtue and a flaw. Yeah, he does have a son.
We will obey.
But I don't think Franz was ever...
As you say.
I don't think Franz was ever the type of man who would genuinely be interested in love.
Without fail.
I think he is someone who prioritized political power and doing what he felt needed to be done in the name of the realm to protect it and secure it, first and foremost. Which would no doubt put a lot of strain on any relationship.
It will be done. Dragon Princes, acknowledged.
Like, you're gonna have a bad time being married to someone who always answers a booty call when the when the elector counts when the elector counts are when he's more interested in summoning the elector counts than anything else, you know, that's gonna put a lot of strain on your marriage.
Ulthuan mage. My power is yours. Maintaining order.
Acknowledged.
Got a lot of baddies to kill. Let's go.
Attack!
Tilt lances!
Setting forth. Glory is mine. Dragon Princes. To battle. Archers. Arthur. Attack! Without fail. By your command.
activate that, so I've got magic damage. Let's go ahead and...
Roar! Lakoi! Acknowledged! Dragon Princes! Dragon Princes! Loyal!
Ooh, look out.
Prince Emmerich!
Emmerich, do you have magic damage?
Ready.
You do not. Ooh,
A superior bard!
let's not waste too much time here.
Yes.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm like, oh, if only I had a wizard that I've had since the start of this campaign.
Hear me.
If only.
Fail. Orders understood! Quickly now! Move! Battle call! Dragon Princes! White Lion! Without faith!
What did Karl Franz think of Hazrak attacking the Drakbald? I mean, Karl Franz was sympathetic, but he kind of had his own problems to deal with. Which is kind of a lot of, like, the Empire's lore in a nutshell.
High mage. Winds of magic rise.
There's the big bastard. Dragon Princes, prepare for battle! Emmerich, you too! Archers, forward!
We advance!
Infantry, hold off everything that's coming in.
March! Calador's chosen! For Assyrian!
Spellcaster.
Here it comes!
Dragon Princes! We will obey! Dragon Princes!
I really like these dragons that they came up with.
At once!
They're just fun.
It shall be done! Forward!
Oh,
Quick
get him!
now. Dragon Prince! Behold the majestic!
Blow the horn!
One mage.
Get our dragon out of there.
Dragon Princes!
Go pick that breath on him. My dragon prince is a pretty high fire resistance, so they should be okay.
Spearman!
Spears! I want you ready to deal with
Setting
these
forth.
monsters coming in.
Archers!
Bring you guys more over this way.
Advance. Biolarial!
Okay, Shakalot is taking a bunch of damage.
Understood! Fury of the Forge God! Asser, advance!
Nope, nope, run away.
Asser!
Ow!
Forward!
Ow!
Setting forth! Archers! Spearmen!
Spears forward!
For duty!
A dwarf riding a dragon would be such a sight. If by such a sight you mean a heretical sight, then yes.
It shall be done!
Okay, let's pull back these dragon princes to get some fresh charges.
Biolarial! For the king!
Let's make him flammable
By all!
and get another big breath attack.
Spearmen! Drop! Asser, attack! Moving out! Onwards! Understood!
Okay, Shakalot's down.
Lakoi! Dragon Princes!
Send you guys out to get the Medusae.
Loyal! As you say, we advance! By Alario! Dragon Princes!
Dodge! What you do after the Mana Core? Make sure he doesn't come back.
Archers!
Archers, let's focus that Hydra.
Prince Emmerich!
Emmerich, get in there!
Die! Orders understood! Onward! For Assyrian! For duty! Death to all!
Now he gets ambushed by an Eshin army, it wouldn't surprise me.
It will be done!
I ain't scared no rat.
Knowledge! For our ancestors! 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 For our
Fireball!
The enemy are driven off, my lord. Their plans are thwarted.
Nice. Alright, Shakalot has been defeated. Oh, nothing like missing a slow-moving target. What about a rat with a gun? What are the origins of the Cloydon? I mean, like, the actual... Like, just the name? I mean, for me, it was just... I always call them... we always have nicknames for our dogs beyond, like, their actual name. That's just, like, a habit, I guess. In my family, like, more people... I think in my family... I mean... I call Chloe a lot of different things, depending on, like, what's going on and, like, what I'm talking to her about. Because I talk at Chloe a lot. And, like, for a normal nickname, I usually call Chloe Chloe Bear. But whenever I would, like, be thinking of it from a Lizardman perspective, like, the only thing that really seemed to work well would literally just be Chloeodon. Because there wasn't really a lot else like, a Chloeosar doesn't sound right. Does she answer? Yeah, Chloe's very responsive. Now, well, I say that, but, like, Chloe is responsive in the sense that, like, she will acknowledge that you spoke, but, like, anything more than that is kind of a gamble. I would actually say the majority of the time, Chloe does not care. She's almost more like a cat, in that, like, she'll respond if she wants to, but you cannot force her to respond. She just won't play ball. She'll just look at you. Like, you'll be like, hey, Chloe, come here, Chloe, and she'll just kind of be like, that's, if you're lucky, maybe she'll look at you. But sometimes she won't even look at you, because she's like, if I look at him, then he knows I'm acknowledging him. I'll just pretend I'm deaf. With me, she's pretty good about being responsive, but, like, my poor sister. My sister has a notorious relationship with Chloe, because my sister very desperately wants to have an affectionate relationship with Chloe, but it is not a mutual feeling. Chloe likes to keep Leslie at arm's length. To the extent that if my sister goes and, like, sits down next to her to pet her or something, Chloe will, like, get up and leave, which is just sad to watch. Alright, so we got Lord of Dragons, and let's pick up Woundmaker, because we just want to get our damage as high as possible, as quick as possible. For our Wizard, let's go ahead and get Flaming Sword of Ruin, which is a classic. Can I make it to friendly territory? I don't think I can. But I'd still rather get as close as...
This is my destiny.
Alright, Maxwell, have a good one, my dude. What's my favorite campaign so far in Total War Warhammer 2?
As it was meant to be.
That's a good question. I would say my favorite campaign in the game... I'm just trying to remember all the characters. Right now... Jeez. Man, I don't know. Like... I hear the Widowmaker. For me... Like, I enjoy the Lizardmen battle system the most, but I am not a huge fan of the Lizardmen campaign. I would say probably my favorite campaign... I mean, the new Beastmen are pretty fun. Probably Dwarfs. I would say that I think for me personally, I think my favorite campaign, in that, like, it's a campaign I can boot up and just have a really good time with it every single time, is Dwarfs. I would probably say... I'd probably say that Thoric is my favorite right now. Thoric has a really good campaign. where he's not super overpowered, like, right out the gate, but if you get big enough with him, he can become just hilariously overpowered, but you gotta earn it, which I really, really like. Like, I enjoy Ikit Claw's campaign a lot, but I find it's just way too easy, and I don't think you have to work for it to be super duper easy, because you just get access to the like the nukes, and then it's just like easy street from then on out. Like it's like yeah, whatever, it's not a huge deal. Which I'm not personally I'm not a fan of that. All right, it's time to fight some rats. Speak of the devil.
All demands we rest.
I wonder if we should ambush instead.
Be ready for
Yeah, let's do that. So let's move to about here. Pop into ambush stance. See if we can catch out those sneaky vermin. How much is Shakalot upkeep wise? 315? Oof. I cannot afford that right now. We will get him. Oh, geez. Deathmaster Snitch got behind us. Huh. Of course he did. Darkhold's got a... Darkhold and the Fortress of Vorag both have walls, so they should be able to hold out for a little bit. How close can I get to them? Yeah, let's ride. Oh my gosh, they're everywhere. they're everywhere. Vermin. You know what's another campaign I actually really, really like is Lord Skrulk. I think Lord Skrulk is a very fun campaign.
Calador's champion. Nothing stands in my way.
How are we doing on our Calador mission? 3 more settlements to go. Okay. I'm coming for you, Ikit. I'm coming for you. Let's go ahead and pop the Invocation of El Drazor. Because Emmerich always has cared more about power than pleasing his fellow nobles.
Wretched foul lizard thing joins the red host.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Cursed Sotek spawn.
Big Aggie, thanks so much for the year of support. Ah, really appreciate that, man. The full 12 months. You made it all the way around the track. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that. Man, that's a good long while now. Thank you. I really, really, really do appreciate that. And, you get used to it. What do I think Gelt looks like under the mask? Honestly, I think Gelt is horribly scarred. I think it's very likely that his skin, is been transmuted to gold. But I imagine he's actually very horribly scarred under the mask. I don't think it's just that his skin is turned to gold. I think he's like got a really messed up, burned face.
Your transgressions against Calador.
And oh, what? No, I'm not signing a non-aggression with filthy vermin. You take me for. But yeah, I imagine Gelt does not look good. It's not. I don't think he's very glamorous in appearance. All right, we're in pretty good health, so let's push it.
The dragon. Follow me to glory.
All right. Can't really afford.
Barely worth slaughter.
Okay, let's go ahead and pick up that so that I can get some income, at least for a bit. What was the biggest "that's bullshit" moment in the Warhammer world? When you say "that's bullshit," Lizardman, do you mean like, what? Could you give an example of what you mean? Aim for the head! You should have gone for the head. Let's do Swift Sense. And then bring the hammer down on Pig Barter.
Be ready for anything.
We have to free it from the Skaven. It's what Mandalore would want.
The rats will be defact.
We're not going to run, because I don't think that would end well. Oh, yeah, let's do Reaver Patrols, which is going to slow enemies down by 10%. That's solid. Karak Azul is destroyed? Wow, that was quick.
My powers grow.
Your powers grow. Well, that's nice. Here, why don't you put another point in Flaming Sword.
Greatest of the dragon princes.
And we're going to capture Pig Barter.
It'll be no contest at all.
Do I want to capture it or do I want to burn it? I guess it'd be better to capture it. Kind of gives the Skaven something to aim at. That's
They'll
not me.
thrive under my rule. The Oath Keeper.
Okay, and we're going to keep focusing our combat tree for the moment. Like, character just did something that made you say, that's bullshit. Oh, okay.
Hammond underscore WB cheered. X100.
Hey, Hammond, thanks so much for the cheer, my dude. Man, that's a great question. Something that made me go, oh man, that's just bullshit. It's not my birthday, thank you though. Dang, why am I struggling so much to think of something?
Greater than ever.
You know what? Probably what I would say, even though I like it about his character, and I think it's like a fitting way for him to have done it, I would say it was probably the way that, how Balthazar Gelt became the Supreme Patriarch. Because Balthazar, so the way you become a Supreme Patriarch is that you have to be a patriarch of your college. And then once you've established yourself as a patriarch, you can essentially challenge the Supreme Patriarch to a very specific kind of duel. And the duel basically revolves around, they put the Staff of Volans in like the center of a chamber, and whoever manages to claim it first, if memory serves, becomes the Supreme Patriarch. And Gelt, to beat Cyrus Gorman, who was the prior Supreme Patriarch and the Patriarch of the Bright College. I'm trying to remember the specifics. I know where it's written. I don't have it at my fingertips. I'd have to look it up, but I think I know where it is. But if memory serves, the way that Gelt managed to beat Gorman was a little underhanded. Many of the wizards that got to see the duel or were aware of like everything that went down, a significant amount of the wizard community in the Empire felt that Balthazar Gelt cheated, that he didn't play fair when he beat Gorman. And if I recall correctly, the reason was that I think the thing about it is that in most wizards' opinion, you're supposed to duel to decide who gets the like generally it's them like throwing magic at each other. Ah, we caught him. I'm gonna enjoy this. Generally it's them like throwing spells at each other and stuff, trying to dominate one another. But what Gelt did is Gelt used his magic to basically, while him and Gorman were dueling, because Cyrus Gorman was just trying to overwhelm him with pure firepower, right? Like, Gorman's a fire wizard. Fire wizards are not prone to subtlety. So he's just, like, unleashing these, like, amazing blasts of magical power. And Gelt's holding his own, but if memory serves, the way that Gelt essentially won was that he used his magic to very sneakily create a copy of the Staff of Volans. So instead of winning by fighting Gorman, he won by tricking him, where he basically created a very, very convincing fake duplicate of the Staff of Volans. And so while they were fighting, Gorman ends up thinking he overwhelms Gelt and pushes him back and back and back until he finally gets to the point where he's able to claim the staff, and he thinks he's won, so the duel's over. And Gelt basically pulls a shenanigan on him to reveal that that's not actually the Staff of Volans, and I forget how he hit it. I know the story is around somewhere, but I'd have to go specifically look it up, but I know where it is. But a lot of the wizarding community, sounds too Harry Potter for my liking, but many within the colleges of magic were irritated by the way Gelt claimed victory, because it was a little underhanded, which is something Gelt specializes in. Gelt is a wizard who will do anything to win, but he is notorious for almost being a trickster. In that the way he often deals with conflict or a particularly troubling situation is that instead of following the rules or fighting, he'll find some other way to come out on top. Like, I mean, even just looking at his origin story, you know, Gelt is originally from, I think, Estalia, and the way he bought, like, he wanted to come to the Empire so he could join the Colleges of Magic and become a battle wizard. But getting passage to the Empire is expensive, it's not cheap, and Gelt just didn't have that kind of money. So what he did is, to buy his way onto a boat, he transmuted a whole bunch of lead into gold, which is a big no-no. Like, that is super not okay. It is one of, like, the biggest illegal things you can do with magic. And Gelt knew this. So what Gelt gives all this gold to the guy who helps him get to Altdorf. I can't remember if he went straight to Altdorf or if he eventually went to Marienburg, or if he went to Marienburg first. But he gets Gelt really, really close, and Gelt leaves only for the master of the ship to find out a few short hours later that all of the gold Gelt gave him was not gold. It was an illusion. He thought that Gelt broke the law and actually transmuted him a bunch of gold, or gave him a bunch of gold. And Gelt was like, haha, yeah, no. Not putting my life on the line for the witch hunters to come after me. So Gelt instead just used an illusion to make it look like he transmuted a whole bunch of gold. And then he pieced the hell out, and it turned out that none of it was gold. It was all still lead. So this captain was just left with like a bunch of worthless material instead of what he bargained for. And that captain actually still has a that particular man still has a large bounty on Gelt's head, and he hates Balthazar Gelt and would literally pay anything to have him killed. But of course, he's the Supreme Patriarch and not many people are willing to take a bounty on one of the most powerful wizards in, like, the world, much less the Empire. You know, that's not a bargain easily struck. So, you know, he's probably never going to get his revenge, but he certainly likes to think about it. And then there was another time where Gelt did something, kind of did the reverse. And what happened in that incident was that Gelt actually Gelt was sent by Karl Franz to find out if the rumors were true about one of the Elector Counts, because the Elector Count of Nordland was actually planning a rebellion. So he had hired like tons and tons of mercenaries and was planning for a civil war. And as he was plotting for this civil war, Gelt basically came over to investigate, and what's his name? Theodric Gosner, I think. And the Elector Count was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally not up to anything like super suspicious. I don't know what you're talking about." And Gelt was like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'll hang out here for a bit." And it turned out that, so of course Gelt ends up sneaking around Gosner's castle, and he finds Theodric Gosner's gold store. So he finds like this treasure trove, right? He finds where all his money is, and Gelt proceeds to transmute all of his gold into lead. So he takes his actual gold, because there's no, as far as Gelt, you know, technically under Imperial law, there is no law that says you cannot turn gold into another substance. You're just not allowed to turn another substance into gold, because it would wreck the economy. So Gelt transforms all of Theodric Gosner's money, I think it's Gosner, into lead, and then just gets the hell out of there. Like, he immediately runs and jumps up on his Pegasus and just gets the hell out of Dodge, because he knew that guy was going to be, he knew the Electric Count was going to be furious. And that the Electric Count still has a like borderline kill on sight order if anybody sees Balthazar Gelt. But Oneg, that's kind of the Gelt. I would not necessarily say that Balthazar Gelt is the most powerful human mage, but I would say of the human mages that are currently alive, Balthazar Gelt is the most clever. He's a very, very clever son of a gun, and is able to perform some really impressive feats, but he really specializes in, like I said, he's not a trickster, but he has very trickster-like qualities as far as like how he uses magic and how he does a lot of things. But he's definitely not the most powerful wizard to ever live, but he is one of the strongest wizards in the Empire, undeniably. You know, he's easily in the top 3. I think the only wizards that could compete with Balthazar Gelt, of course, would be Gorman and what's her face, Von Draken, the Death Wizard.
Dragon Rider.
Yeah, Elspeth.
Be ready for anything.
That being said, while Balthazar Gelt is holding the Staff of Volans, yes, he is absolutely the strongest wizard. in the Empire, like undeniably, when he's got the Staff of Volans on him. But the Staff of Volans is also a hilariously powerful artifact, so, you know, that kind of makes sense.
The rats will be defamed.
Just read the story. Gelt seems to win fairly, nearly completely transmutates Gorman, then turns his own arm into gold and reaches into a wall of fire to grab the staff. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I can't remember, like, there's a lot of propaganda and shenanigans going on. Oh, I should have fought that. That was Deathmaster Snitch. Whoops. That's okay. I'm sure we'll see him again. There's, like, the amount of cloak and dagger going on in the Colleges of Magic is ridiculous. So it's more likely that there are a lot of rumors about how Gelt defeated Gorman, spread around by many people. So everyone, you know, is constantly talking shade and saying that, like, he cheated and stuff. Dedicated to Vol! And let's get Vanguard Master to make our Dragon Princes as good as they can be. Let's recapture Pig Barter.
I always do. I claim it for Calador.
Ooh, the Potion of Healing. Very nice. What does the Staff of Volans do in the lore? If memory serves, which granted, from memory is not ideal. The Staff of Volans is... Well, you know what? Hold on. Let me just... Why don't I just look instead of doing from memory? From memory never ends well. Staff of Volans. Okay, so basically the Staff of Volans was a gift. I believe. The Staff of Volans was essentially a gift from Teclis. Whether Teclis gave it to Volans or he taught Volans how to make it, I'm not 100% sure on. But it was the staff used by Volans, which is why, you know, has the name that it does. And basically it was either crafted by Teclis or Teclis assisted in crafting it. And it's just a staff that allows you to have really good control over the winds of magic. Which, you know, having control over the winds is kind of a massive deal. That is the most important thing you can have as a wizard. So it is a very good ability to have if you can have it. And because it's kind of like it just allows you to dominate. Who was Volans? Volans was the first Supreme Patriarch. He was also the first Patriarch of the Light College, and he was a student. He was a very, very powerful wizard who studied with Teclis when Teclis initially set up the Colleges of Magic. Because the colleges were set up by Teclis after the Great War against Chaos, and Volans was the most powerful of the wizards that were in that initial group. Attentive, +1 recruitment rank for all units. I bet I can do better. But you'll be great for farming influence, won't you, little man? Let me go this way, sir. Okay, let's get a promenade.
You may look upon me.
Pop the Invocation of Assurin for some more goodies. How did Volans learn magic if there are no colleges? Well, there were wizards before the colleges. The colleges were basically just that magic became officiated and had like actual teachers and lessons, but it was basically that magic was made legal. But there were wizards that just practiced illegally. You know, they learned magic on their own, or did they just had like a natural affinity for magic. And Volans was one of those individuals. He just was very gifted at casting magic, and he was someone who practiced it very vigorously and had a very strong natural attunement to it, as did the other 7. And when Magnus the Pious marched out to war to go fight Asavar Kul, one of the things that Magnus did that was really clever is that Magnus basically was like, hey, I will accept anybody. The Dragonless Princes. You got it. That's a sad name for them. It's a bummer name. But the whole thing was that Magnus was very clever and realized that he was not going to stand a chance against the likes of Asavar Kul and his legions if he did not have every single thing he could get his hands on. So he was like, I'm gonna pardon everybody. I don't give a shit, like, if they're a criminal. I don't care, like, if they're a wizard. I don't care if they've, like, broken the law. I don't give a damn. Like, just anybody that's willing to fight against chaos, come on in. Like, we need all the help we can get. So Tats, thanks so much for the, continuing your Prime sub. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. And, Hammond donated $1 to say, what did the hat say to the coat hanger? You stay here. I'll go on ahead. Thank you for that. That we all needed that, apparently.
Onward for Canada. I await your command. Their life is forfeit.
Answered that. Answered that. Answered that. Could Gelt beat Thankful in a magical duel? Yeah, well, Thankful... Gelt would be able to defeat Gelt. Wait, Gelt would be able to defeat Thankful. There we go. However, if... nope, we're gonna leave that Dragon B right now. Oh, dang, it despawned him. Well, that sucks. Oh, well. Alright, let's drop a unit of Rangers. So I can... Oh, wait, no, I don't want this noble in my army. Dang it! Why am I so stupid? Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, I need more income right now. Hey, Big Papa Reinhardt, thanks so much for subbing to Tier 1. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I think he's going to Mount Greyhag, because I left it as a ruin. So what I was saying is that Gelt would absolutely beat Thankful in a magical duel, unless Thankful pulled out the Warpstone. When Thankful is dueling someone, like Gelt, for instance, if Thankful decided to get desperate, and he pulled out the old snuff, you know, he took a big Warpstone, then he would immediately reverse that situation. Even with all of his magical gimmicks, you know, Thankful is already a very powerful wizard. You know, the difference between them is not that massive. And the moment Thankful gets desperate enough where he pulls out the good stuff, that would immediately cause huge problems. That being said, it certainly would not be like instant death for Gelt. He would still stand a super fair chance, and it would be a very even fight still. But like, it would get super hectic, super quick. It would just be a big fat mess, essentially. But Thankful is able to go toe to toe with like really powerful wizards. Like on a normal occasion, even when he's not, you know, just huffing down Warpstone constantly. But when he does have enough Warpstone, he can actually he can hold his own. Now, I will say, if Thanquol had Bone Ripper with him, so if Thanquol and Bone Ripper were together versus, like, Gelt on Quicksilver, then I do think Thanquol would win. Bone Ripper is pretty spooky, you know, just being a big ol' honkin' rat ogre. But that would provide Thanquol with a massive power boost in that particular matchup.
Boundless courage.
You know, in that if he could get Gelt into combat, like force him onto the ground, which he probably could, and allow Bone Ripper to get engaged, Bone Ripper would absolutely tear Gelt apart. Assuming, of course, Bone Ripper was not killed, which is very likely. But, you know, when it's kind of one of those situations where you kind of have to, like, look at all possible scenarios, and I think Thanquol has more win conditions that he could achieve than Gelt could. Can Gelt not use a Griffin? Gelt has never used a Griffin. Gelt, for some reason in his stories, has just always preferred riding a Pegasus. He seems to prefer the speed over anything else. Gelt is not someone that likes getting his hands dirty in combat. That's a very notable aspect of his character. He much prefers fighting from where it's safe, and he actually designs his own magical items around that idea or philosophy, and that Gelt has zero interest in wading into the fight personally, like you would see with, like, an Amber Wizard, or maybe wizards that tend to be a little more aggressive. Like Gelt much prefers to be at a safe distance, blasting armies and stuff. Let's see. It's this.
My strength grows.
The Dragonbane gem. Oh boy, just what I needed, chat. More fire resistance. Man, I'm unstoppable now. That's the good shit right there. Okay. We really need to put the pressure on Snitch and his buddies so they cannot continue attacking our lance. Okay, I did that. Something good about Grimgor. Something good about Grimgor. Grimgor is so thick-headed and so incredibly strong and stubborn that when faced with, like, an impossible challenge in Arkham the Everchosen, his response was to headbutt Archaon so hard that he literally shattered one of the most powerful magical items that the forces of chaos and the dark gods had ever conceived. He just exploded it. Which is incredible levels of just not giving a fuck. Like, you just have to appreciate the sheer cojones on such an accomplishment.
Onward then.
Didn't he? No, Grimgor never kicked Archaon in the nuts. That never happened. That's just a meme. That is literally just a copy pasta from 1D4chan. Alright, so Emmerich is super arrogant and believes himself vastly superior to pretty much all other forces, but I do believe that he would be willing to deal with Khalida. I think it would be a somewhat begrudging alliance, but I think it is an alliance that has root in reality. As far as I don't think the Elves would see Nehekara as being a place of value. Just being a large desert region, and the Tomb Kings, although dead, can be trusted as allies, and there is a pre-established relationship of the High Elves fighting alongside the Tomb Kings. So we are going to make Khalida our friend. We're going to get to work on that relationship. Plus, if we catch her in the right time during her transformation cycle, she'll be super hot, which, you know, is not a downside. Stony Bridgie, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to the stream, my dude. Thank you.
Strategy beyond compare.
All right, we're healed enough that we can we can put an end to this. Will this be enough for me to do Return of the Prince? It will. Lovely. Because we do need to hurry that up, because Calador will not last forever.
We have nothing to fear. Standing by.
What can I tell you about Crag the Grim? Well, Love Guru, Crag the Grim is the oldest living Rune Lord. So Crag is he's still alive during the modern time. He's over 1,000 years old. Crag the Grim is incredibly ancient. And is a very powerful Rune Lord in his own right. However, he is so old that not only is he a living ancestor, but he's kind of gotten to that point where he's kind of hopped over the wall of, he's gone from being the oldest Rune Lord out there to being, quite frankly, so old that he can't really reliably engage in battle anymore. Because while Dawi do get, they're like many things in that they, for the most part, get more powerful as they age. There is a point in the late hundreds where their physical health starts to decline due to their age. And Crag the Grim is in that category. He is immensely old. And he's just kind of at that point where he is no longer really able to take to the battlefields and be like, the super badass lord that's like roaring out cries to the ancestor gods and slamming his anvil, in the midst of battle to summon power. Like, he can still do all those things. He can still fight. It's just that he's old enough that from the dwarf's perspective, allowing him to fight in battle is like a borderline sin. It's like super not okay. Because he's a living ancestor. He's the kind of person that you would want to protect at all costs. Because his knowledge is just incalculably important.
The Prince of Dragons swears it.
Oh, you want peace? Yeah, you're not getting it. Grim Harbinger, what do you think would happen if Immeldrick became the Phoenix King instead of his brother Calador the Warrior?
Rats make poor foemen.
If Immeldrick had become... Yeah, we'll let the Beastmen have that one.
I am their
Oh, nice. Yeah, don't even need to fight this.
These
Easy peasy.
fools have no chance.
Oh, look at all that money. I genuinely believe that if Immeldrick had become the Phoenix King instead of Calador the Warrior, the biggest thing is that I do not, the War of the Beard or the War of Vengeance, depending on which side you prefer to be on, I think it still would have happened, but I think it would have been more like a series of skirmishes that ended very quickly. Because Immeldrick would have been willing to go... Like, when the Dwarf Ambassadors arrived, and Calador the Warrior had them shaved and cast out because he was an asshole, Immeldrick would not have dared do that. I think he would have absolutely heard out the Dwarven Ambassadors and would have said, okay, something is not right here. Like, something's wrong. And I think that the true shenanigans of the War of the Beard would have been exposed, where I think Immeldrick would have discovered the Dark Elves were behind it. Now,
give me strength.
I still think that relations between the dwarves and the elves would have been immensely soured, because the dwarves don't understand very well the concept of High Elves versus Dark Elves. Like, to the dwarves, the Dark Elves are a very perplexing issue, especially at that time. The dwarves of that era were not... They did not know the Dark Elves existed. They had zero idea, because the High Elves refused to talk about it. And to the dwarves, the idea of having a kindred war, a war where, like, father against son and brother against brother and all that stuff, to the dwarves, that is, like, uncalculable. Like, that is, like, unimaginable to them. So getting that across and helping them understand that it was Malekith behind it as well. Malekith, who was known as Malekith was a legit dwarf friend. Like he was really like one of probably the most beloved elves by the dwarves. Like, you know, Malekith was so well loved by Snorri Whitebeard, the first High King of the dwarves, that when Snorri died, Malekith was the one who heard his dying words. Nobody else. Like, Snorri's wife wasn't even in the room because he wanted to be alone with his bro, who was Malekith. And unfortunately, Malekith turned into a dickhead later down the line. But like it would have been very difficult to get the dwarves to understand what happened during the Sundering, and that Malekith was now evil, and that the Dark Elves were trying to trick them into a war. Some of the dwarf clans would have probably not, like, refused to see the difference. They would have just said, an elf's an elf. Like, screw these guys. So there still would have been a lot of issues. But I do think the war would not have gone nearly as sour as it did, and it would not have required the death of a Phoenix King to end it. Like it did because of Caledor. Alright, so we can take over Caledor, so let's do that. We'll do Favors Abound, because I've got enough influence with it. Emmerich's gonna come back, and he's gonna come back strong. Caledor is now ours. Oh god, my finances. Oh, look. Oh, great! It's Morathy! And she's got the Sword of Cain!
I watch from the shadow.
Delightful. Just mwah, delightful.
Protector of Ulthuan.
Ah, crap.
High Elven Archmage.
Okay, you're useless.
Lady of the Phoenix Court.
What's your trait? Dashing! Oh. Might be able to make use of that.
Garrisoning. I serve the Phoenix King. Princess
Oh
Yasur.
boy. Oh yeah, this is not gonna cut it. This is not gonna cut it. Break all that shit down. Get it out of here.
Greatest of the dragon princes.
Get that crap out of my face! Let's go for Ancient Pride, and then Ashen Fields. For you, we want Flamestorm.
Prince of Caledor. Witness my stride.
This will end this turn in March Dance, just so I can maybe get the trait for it.
Noble lord. I will dispatch.
Hey! Assassinated a rat. Good job. Good job. Good job. Imminent Rebellion. Oh, Pig Barter? I could not give less dams. Rebel all you want, Pig Barter. I don't care. Have fun. Have fun rebelling, kiddos. Oh, there we go. We got Taskmaster. Nice. Can Grombrindal die? Kind of. Grombrindal is not... Grombrindal can die. Yes. The likelihood of him dying is very, very, very low. But he can die. Because we saw him die. Age of Sigmar actually very recently revealed that Grombrindal can indeed die, and he was killed during the end times. Likely he died just because the planet blew up. Oh, we got Manathnir! And let's go ahead and get Ward of Loic for that sweet, sweet missile resistance.
Son,
Yeah, baby!
I couldn't agree more.
Alright, and the Beastmen did us a solid and helped us wipe out. Okay, Clan Eshin is dead. And we manipulated the Beastmen into doing our dirty work for us, which is perfectly Elven. Wonderful job, us. We have successfully conquered Kalador by manipulating control of it. And it's led by a princess who we're going to spec into being able to take care of the cheapest troops she can. Oh gosh. Okay, we need a garrison. Could go for an embassy. Is there anything else I can do that's like really helpful for garrison? Oh, this would give us a wizard, which would be pretty nice. And I don't think anything else would be particularly great at this moment. Let's go for the wizard tower. Luckily, Morothy is not at war with us just yet. Oh my gosh, Morothy is making hella progress. Oh boy. So we're gonna try and manipulate her to stay away from us for a bit. While I consolidate my control over... I don't think we're gonna expand into the mountains. I think we're going to take over the mountains, and we're going to wipe out Mal's Darkblade, and then we're going to turn all of our attention to Ulthuan.
Strategy beyond compare.
Well, maybe. We'll see how a few factors end up laying out. Appreciate you all being here this evening. Thanks everyone for coming by. We've got a bunch of people in here tonight. Okay, I don't think I'm going to worry about taking over all this yet. I think we're going to worry... actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go get my armor. Let's do that. Let's go get the...
Master of Drakes.
The Empowered Armor of Kalador. Oh, I love this fight. This is such a fun fight where it's just Dark Elves, Blood Dragons, and Vampire Coast. This is probably one of the better quest battle fights, I think. Where it just gives you like a really thematic opponent. How did Mandred Skaven Slayer beat back the Skaven? The Skaven got complacent and started fighting amongst themselves and were not really paying attention, and he managed to do a great job organizing a resistance. And he got some help from a couple of outside forces, such as the Wood Elves of Laurelin Forest. And I think he even had a Child of Ulrich in his army. But he had the blessing of Ulrich. But he was a very competent fighter and strategist in his own right. I mean, he was if memory serves, he was a Graf of Middenheim before he started going out to fight the Skaven. And once they kind of became aware of what the Skaven relied on, they got really good at picking the Skaven apart. Like, in particular, Mandred Skaven Slayer became keenly aware of the fact that the Skaven were very reliant on having a leader, and that if he could chop the head off the snake of their armies, he could very reliably cause an army to panic. So he really went hard on trying to locate the Skaven's general and charge them down and kill them in combat. But the most important factor is that Mandred was inadvertently helped by a couple of shenanigans. One of the big things that helped Mandred was the Necromancer Van Hal, who was competing with the Skaven for control of Sylvania. And Van Hal was insanely strong. Van Hal actually nearly wiped out one of the clans on the Council of 13. Who then got, if memory serves, they got wombo comboed and wiped out by Nagash when Nagash came back. but Van Hal had a very, very famous scene where he basically, the Skaven basically go all out to try and wipe him out once and for all. And in response, Van Hal unleashes this giant mega spell where he basically resurrects, like, oh god, I think he resurrected somewhere like, I think he resurrected like 100 dragons or something like that. It was either 20 or 100, but it was a lot. But he resurrected like an army of zombie dragons that all came flying in and just obliterated the Skaven. Because Van Hal was just freaking ridiculous. So that was going on, and then while that was going on, and Mandred Skavenslayer was leading his resistance against the Skaven, also during that incident, Clan Pestilence had a little problem where all of their wonderful disease, their Black Plague, that so infamously brought the Empire to its knees so that the Skaven could invade it successfully, well, a little incident happened where Clan Pestilence they did it on purpose, but Clan Pestilence developed a variant of the Black Plague where it could affect Skaven. And they were going to use it to take complete control over Skavendom. Because during that war, the Clan Pestilence actually managed to get 3 seats on the Council of 13. So they were already obscenely powerful. But they wanted more, and because they were idiots, though actually I think a Grayseer was technically behind it. But there was a stupid incident because the Skaven got greedy, where the disease became transferable to Skaven, and it spread like wildfire. So the Skaven were suddenly infected by the very disease that they used to cripple the Empire. So all of Skavendom started just like dying in mass droves to their own plague, simultaneously dealing with Van Hal and Mandred Skavenslayer, and it was just too much for them. And the Skaven were routed and just utterly crushed because of it. Because Van Hal obliterated one of the strongest clans. A civil war started against the Clan Pestilence, because when Clan Pestilence disease accidentally turned against Skaven, all of the Skaven blamed Clan Pestilence, and so started attacking Clan Pestilence. So a civil war broke out, and the main military leader of the Skaven, the main, like, general, actually went out to fight Mandred Skavenslayer in the, like, final definitive battle of the war. And there was a big fight, and the two of them end up dueling, and Mandred Skavenslayer kills him. And when Mandred Skavenslayer decapitates him, the Skaven Empire just completely collapsed in on itself. Which is awesome. Enjoy this speech.
So it is true! The Blood Dragon dons the lost heirloom of my bloodline. His minions may be many, but when he falls, his control will crumble, along with his shambling minions. The stench of gunpowder and brine is thick in the air, for the fiend brings undead artillerymen of the sea. Already they have dragged their rickety cannons onto the field. We must be wary of their bombardments. And what is this? He has brought some Druki thralls to battle with him. This vampire certainly knows how to get my attention. This indignity must be met with all the rage of Calador. The vampire wishes to drink the blood of my allies, the mighty drakes, but he will do no such thing. I shall defeat him and send him and his minions back to their graves. Done for Calador.
So in answer to some questions I see in chat, when did all this happen? The war against the Skaven took place during, oh gosh, when was it? It was a long time ago. I want to say it was, I think it was right before the age of the Age of the Three Emperors started, if memory serves. I think Mandred was the last, was like the last of the emperors of that age, but my memory's super fuzzy on it. I'd have to double check the records. But it was a long time ago. And one of the big things that happened, though, there actually is a series you can buy on it. It has a trilogy of books that are super duper fun to read. If you're interested, the book series are literally just called the Black Plague. It's the Black Plague trilogy. Very, very fun set of novels. I cannot recommend it enough. But yeah, so yeah, he was the last, Mandred was the last emperor before the time of the Three Emperors. So, because of his death, because the Skaven had him assassinated, in revenge, but after his assassination, the Empire just completely fell apart because they couldn't agree on an emperor, and it caused a big old nasty civil war that lasted for hundreds of years. I think like nearly 1,000 before it finally came to a bitter end. Because of, well, not bitter end, but it was finally ended by Magnus the Pious. Because all the super wealthy assholes who were trying to compete with Manfred, or who wanted to be emperor, realized that if they tried to go up against Magnus, it was going to make them look really bad to the common people. Because the people loved Magnus. I always imagined I had a huge bookshelf and just ordered the entire Black Library. Is that true? No. Complete fabrication. I don't have any books. And it's not like that thing's actually double layered, so you can only see the front layer, but there's a back layer behind every single one of those. That's completely false. I don't own any books. I don't know where you got that idea from.
Dragon Prince. Taking position.
Funny thing is, most of those you can't buy anymore, because they've been reprinted, or they're just not available anymore.
Loyal. Steel.
Ulthuan mage.
People say it's a green screen.
Forward.
Dragon Princes.
Oh, that's like that. Have y'all ever seen that meme of the guy with
For order.
like the refrigerator? And like his chat just keeps bugging him forever. Like, what's in the fridge? What's in the fridge? He's like, what's in the fridge? And then he finally opens it. And he's like, nothing. The fridge isn't real. And it turns out the fridge is like just a cutout. I don't know what streamer that is off the top of my head, but I saw that and that was fucking hilarious. It was a good hearty chuckle. Get him, Emmerich! It's duel time. Dragon Princes, fall back. Reinforcements to me! To me! Here, you jerk.
The dragons roar.
There we go, we got a dragon duel now.
Dragon Princes.
As a mage.
Oh, you got healing? I also have healing, bitch. Eat my Star Lance. Kaboom! Good hit! Good hit! Yeah, Chloe's 3D. Chloe's not actually real. Chloe's just a very clever marketing ploy, but Chloe's just a very sophisticated dog VTuber. Sorry. I know I've been lying to you guys all this time, and I am sorry about that. Actually, you know what? If you don't want to play fair, let's not play fair. Rally! Rally! Archers, rain hell on them! Dragon princes, fall back! Fall back! Fall back! I want to fight this asshole in the air. Come on, bitch! Get up here! Alright, now that they're dueling, charge! Emmerich's dragon, Menathyr is so freaking huge, dude. Makes other dragons look kind of small. It's amazing. Oops, I didn't mean to tell y'all to retreat. Oh, what's wrong? You getting your ass kicked? Yeah, your summoned little minions can't help you cheat, nerd. Down he goes. Victory! Recently got into Eltharion. Could I give a quick rundown of his stuff in AOS? Yeah, that's actually pretty easy. Thankfully, I thought you were about to say fantasy. I was like, no! Eltharion is such a long story! So, in Age of Sigmar, basically the thing with Eltharion the Grim, who's now just Eltharion, is that, so during the end times, the way Eltharion was killed was that he was trying to get to Archon the Black, right? Archon the Black was performing this big ritual to resurrect Nagash, and as part of the ritual, he was going to kill the Everchild, which is Tyrion and Ilariel's daughter. Eltharion went there to save her, but unfortunately, Eltharion could not survive the sorceries of... he just couldn't survive the sorceries of Archon the Black. He just wasn't going to be able to do it. Hey, Akadrin, thanks so much for using your Prime sub. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. So, Eltharion... has this big epic battle. He fights his way all the way up to where Archon is standing, but Archon the Black is surrounded by this big barrier. Like this magical barrier. And Eltharion basically throws himself against it with the Fang Sword and tries to just, like, brute force his way through this, like, hilariously, supremely powerful magical aura that not even Manfred von Karstein can get through. And to Eltharion's credit, even though it pretty much destroys his body, he forces himself through the barrier. But, as I said, it basically, it nearly kills him. Just about. And as he's kind of on death's door, Archon the Black's like, oh, that was pretty impressive. Like, you know, kudos to you, but, you know, you're in my way now. And Archon the Black kills him using a spell called Curse of Years, which you'll probably be familiar with if you play Total War Warhammer. Though Curse of Years in Total War Warhammer actually doesn't do what it's supposed to do. In Tabletop, Curse of Years is a spell that literally ages you rapidly. And it's one of the most terrifying spells if used correctly, because it can just, like, instantly kill something by just aging it rapidly. So, No. Eltharion was not trying to kill Tyrion's daughter. Eltharion was trying to save Tyrion's daughter from Archon. So Archon the Black casts Curse of Years on Eltharion, and Eltharion just dissolves into dust. So Eltharion dies very nobly, but he dies against Archon the Black, and that's the last we see of him in fantasy. In Age of Sigmar, Teclis is busy trying to Teclis is busy trying to bring back the elves of old. He is doing his absolute best to resurrect the entire high elf culture / nations / species by investing very heavily in having souls. Oh yeah, I forgot about these. Dragon Pact and Burning Lands. By having souls ripped out of Slaaneish's guts. Because during the end times, Slaanesh ate most of the elves that died. So, like, the vast majority of the elves that were killed in the end times had their souls devoured by... Well, no, just the elves that ever existed had most of their souls devoured by Slaanesh. Few got away, but most didn't. So, Teclis is ripping all these souls out, trying to give them bodies back. He first creates the Idoneth Deepkin, which are one of the races in AOS. Well, the Idoneth are a failure, because Teclis did not account for their just insane levels of PTSD. Which you figure he really should have, but he didn't. So even though he remakes them and thinks they're perfect at first, and he's like, yeah, these guys are great, he ends up discovering that they have horribly traumatic memories of being devoured by the god of excess, pleasure, pain, horror, nightmare juice, and realizes that his creations are flawed. So he tries to kill them, because he's like, well, might as well, you know, clean the slate, start over, and they all run away from him. And they get away, well, some of them get away, not a lot of them. But some of them get away because Tyrion shows up the last minute and it's like, Teclis, yo, stop killing your kids, dude, it's not cool. You know, he's just like, that's super not okay, man. But after that whole incident, Teclis tries again. And this time, Teclis does it correctly and realizes his error and is like, I fixed the formula. And he creates this new race of elves called the Lumineth. And the Lumineth are basically just the High Elves. They're High Elves, but better. And so, Teclis, as he's creating them, he goes, you know what? The elves need a hero. My elves, to, like, unite my elves, give them purpose, and to, like, show them the way, and to, like, really unify them, they need someone who can lead them. So he goes into Slaanesh's guts and is like, I need a hero. I need a hero. Not that kind. And he finds Eltharion. So Teclis pulls Eltharion the Grim's soul out of the guts of Slaanesh and is like, aha! Like, I have arrived to remake you and to make you wonderful again. So he, you know, being a god, he creates a body for Eltharion, and he puts Eltharion in the body. And after a few hours, the body completely crumbles away into dust. And Teclis goes, huh, that's funny. That has not happened before. Maybe it was a fluke. Let's try again. So he makes another body for Eltharion, puts him inside of it, crumbles away to dust. Well, shit. Okay. Maybe I need, like, a body that doesn't have a soul in it? So the Lumineth basically have this cloning technology they can use. Because, you know, AOS is not... It's a very, like... It's like a fantasy where anything you can really think of is probably a thing. So he uses a clone. He creates a clone that is in Eltharion's image. And tries to stick the body in... sticks the soul in that. Still crumbles to dust. And he's like, what the hell is going on? And finally, what he figures out... Ooh, Beastman, let's do this. Finally, what Teclis realizes is that Eltharion, the curse that Arkham the Black unleashed on Eltharion was so strong and so over the top that it literally causes, it's like forever going. So the instant that Eltharion takes on a body, his body immediately starts rapidly aging until it decays into dust. So he can't have a normal body. So Teclis is like, well, shit, okay. Plan B. So what he does for Plan B is that instead of crafting a body for him, he crafts a suit of armor for him. So he ends up making this suit of armor, and he takes Eltharion as just pure light. So he doesn't have a body of flesh and blood, he has a body that's made purely out of light that connects these pieces of armor. So it literally just looks like a suit of armor that's got like a bunch of just super bright light inhabiting it. And the armor and the light that is Eltharion's soul is not affected by the curse. So this allowed Eltharion to manifest. And Eltharion basically took up his place among the Lumineth, which is good because they really needed help, and starts getting stuck into fights. And after his reveal, Eltharion goes on to play a major role in the events of what was called Broken Realms. So Broken Realms was basically this big narrative event where a whole bunch of massive battles and character conflicts and all this crazy stuff was happening all over the mortal realms. So it was like a big story moment it was just like a bunch of big story things for Age of Sigmar. It was like if the End Times was actually good and well written, but it wasn't the End Times, it was just like a big campaign that advances the storyline forward. Which, you know, is cool, and is something I would have loved when fantasy was alive, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, whatever. So they have this big conflict where all these different forces are fighting each other and shit's going crazy. And what ends up basically happening is that we get a rematch. We finally get one of the most, like, a rematch I've been waiting for almost a decade for, which is Eltharion, the Warrior of Light, versus Arkham the Black. So Arkham the Black is invading the Realm of Light, and Arkham the Black pulls this big shenanigan where he invades the realm. He tries invading the Realm of Light normally. He gets his ass kicked and realizes, okay, this isn't going to work. So instead of invading the Realm of Light normally, he decides to invade the Realm of Light from the edges. Because all of the mortal realms in Age of Sigmar are kind of like discs. So they're like, you know, they're flat circles. They're not globes. They're flat circles. Like idiots think our planet is. The further out you go from the center, the more magic there is saturated in everything. And the Realm of Light is already like a very heavily saturated realm. So like the edges of it are insane. Like if you try and go to the edge of the Realm of Light, it's basically like trying to walk into a parallel universe where all matter is made out of light or in crystals and stuff. But by stepping into that parallel dimension, you are basically forcing your body to confine to those rules. So, you know, it's basically just like instant death. But if you're already dead, like Archon the Black, and Archon the Black also has this army, his personal army of his, which I forget what they're called off the top of my head. But he has this personal army of Ossiarch Bone Reapers who themselves are very, very, very magically resistant. So he takes his personal army and he invades the edge of the realm so that the Lumineth can't get to him. But there is one Lumineth who can. So Eltharion ends up leading basically a suicide squad of this big suicide squad of Lumineth Realm Lords to go fight Archon the Black and stop him. And we get this amazing badass showdown where you have this huge army of Ossiarch Bone Reapers and all these Lumineth show up and they're like literally dying because parts of their bodies are crystallizing or they're turning into light or they're like dissolving into pure thought and all this nonsense. And Eltharion just charges in this army and just starts just beating the shit out of them. Because Eltharion now is more like a super swordmaster, kind of like he was envisioned in really old fantasy. So he's got his old Fang sword from fantasy, and then he's also got another sword, and he's basically just like chopping through people. And he just starts bullying his way towards Archon the Black, while the Lumineth do everything in their power to buy him time. And he ends up fighting his way up to Archon, who's mounted on this big monster. And the two of them just start going at it, and Archon's like trying to blast him with magic, and it's just not working because Eltharian's made out of magic, and he's very, very, very resistant to it. And so Archon's throwing everything he has at him, and he even tries to hit him with Curse of Years again, and Eltharian's just like, yeah, nah, not this time, and just starts beating the shit out of him. So he cuts up his mount, and his mount like goes down, and he just starts going after Archon with everything he's got. And Archon's being pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. And Archon's like, oh shit, like I'm gonna die. And but the thing about Archon is he's a lich, right? So Archon dying isn't a huge deal for him. If he dies, his soul just goes back to the realm of death. So what does Eltharian do? Eltharian punts his ass into space. Because, like, remember, the world is a disc. It's flat, right? There's a hard edge. So, because Archon was already invading the edge, Eltharian keeps pushing him closer and closer to the edge, and instead of just stabbing him, Eltharian basically slashes him across the chest and then just Spartan kicks him into space, so into the void. So, Archon the Black gets hurled into what's known literally as the void, which is a horrible place. His mount goes diving after him. So Archon will presumably return at some point, but he's not come back yet. So Archon the Black is currently MIA. Which was fun. It was a really fun story. I mean, like, is it goofy? Yeah. Like, I don't take it, like, crazy seriously. But it's really fun. It's very comic booky. I mean, considering that the next big scene after that is... I think the next big major scene after that is literally, like, the god fight between Teclis and Nagash, you know, which was also very comic booky. But it was very fun. That's the best way to describe AOS. Comic booky describes the end times? Nah. The end times are just hot fucking garbage. I don't think it's fair to comic books. I don't think it's fair to comic books to compare the end times to them. That's a little harsh. The end times were just trash. Served up to try and rapidly get rid of something Games Workshop didn't want to deal with anymore. What happens in Teclis versus Nagash? Teclis and Nagash have a really big comic book fight, essentially. And it basically ends with Nagash manages to physically overwhelm Teclis, but while Nagash is busy being a bit of a dickhead and, like, he just takes a little bit too long to bring Teclis down. Teclis was basically stalling for time. Teclis just he's stalling for time, trying to keep Nagash away from him, because Nagash is stronger than him during the fight. So, Nagash finally manages to get Teclis in a position where he can kill him, but at that moment, Teclis's plan fully pops into motion, which Teclis's plan was basically to get like 20 Luminarchs of Hysh lined up at a mountain where him and Nagash were fighting, along with like a notably large Luminarch of Hysh. And when Nagash is not paying attention because he's too busy like just beating Teclis into the ground, all 20 of the Luminarchs just shoot Nagash in the fucking face. Like, all of it just, which isn't, it's not enough to kill him by any means, but it's enough to to hurt him and to stun him. And while Nagash is stunned, Teclis just unleashes everything he has to basically bind Nagash so that he can't, like, he's locked in these chains and he can't move. And then a whole bunch of these giant mountain spirits, which are called Elementors, which are the mountain Elementors, are these big old mountain bull looking things. They all come up and just start like slamming hammers into Nagash's body over and over and over again. And they manage to shatter his body. So Nagash dies, but the thing about Nagash that's so problematic is that for Nagash, dying just means he's gonna come back stronger. That's what he does. Killing Nagash is like, it's necessary, but it never ends well. Killing Nagash is just, he always comes back stronger. Because Nagash is a true immortal. You can't kill death, right? Uh-oh, we found another dragon, the legendary Sun Dragon.
As Calador once tamed Madrethnin.
Oh, I have 20 turns to do that? Huh. Be a war with Tyrion, and I get the High Elf conflict.
The last Phoenix. Sent forth by Vor.
I mean, I don't think it's a secret, but I personally am a huge fan of AOS. I love AOS. It's not Warhammer Fantasy, but I don't expect it to be. Plus, with Warhammer Fantasy, well, with Warhammer the Old World coming back, you know, that's gonna satisfy my fantasy itch. Like, I love AOS. I think it's a blast. It's very different, but it is a lot of fun in its own merit. All right, so we're going to fight Gordonar and defeat him in battle, so that we'll gain the ability to recruit him, which will be super fun. And we're also going to take over these two settlements, so that we get another province, and hopefully we'll have enough money where we can start recruiting dragons, and then we can take the fight to Malice. Thanks for the stretch and hydrate. Would Manfred be the strongest wizard? Big Papa Reinhardt? No, the strongest wizard alive is Lord Mazdamundi, I think. You could argue that it could be Kairos Fateweaver, but I think Mazdamundi would win. But we're going to be doing all that stuff next time. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. I hope you all had a good time. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast, but my throat is really sore. So we're gonna have to call it here for tonight. Go ahead and save here. Stream. So I hope you all had a good time. We got a nice 45 turns into it, and we are slowly but surely progressing our way through this campaign. But I had a great time. I hope you all had a great time. Rizeron, thanks so much for the Prime sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the Red Host. Grim Harbinger, real quick to answer that. Last thing I'm going to answer today. If I was a Dreadlord, how would I kit myself out, mount weapon and such, and how do you keep your power? Personally, I would want to go... I think I would want to go sword and board on a black dragon, because that just resonates pure badassness. Though definitely want magical gear, and the way you keep your power is that you get one very loyal minion. Probably the best thing to go for would be an assassin, if you could get your hands on one. And make sure that you stay in the good graces of the Temple of Cain. And then make sure your underlings are always fighting against each other, and if anyone looks like they're getting too big of britches, or they don't have a suitable rival and they're like pulling out ahead, send them to die. Send them on suicide missions until they fail. And either they fail and come back and you execute them for failing publicly, or they die out there and you talk about how much of a weakling they were for not accomplishing their mission. Easy peasy. But yeah, thank you all again so much for joining me. And no more lore facts, I'm done. Oh, well, that one's easy. Is the Fang Sword... Snatterino is the one with the runes on it. It has the exact same runes, so you'd have to look at the pictures. Alright, let's do a little raid. Is there anyone streaming that I like? Chat, real quick, poll for you guys. We got a last second poll here. Where to raid? Your answer is something weird or something Warhammer. You have 1 minute. You have 1 minute to vote on where you would like to raid.